Things don't always go our way. Can children trust in God even when hard things happen? Hi, I'm Michaela Hulse and welcome back to the Gospel Voices Project. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button. If you have any questions or suggestions of topics that you would like us to cover, please leave comments below and tell us all about it. Today we're reviewing a children's picture book called Theo's Flippity-Flop, written by Tim Banks II and illustrated by Vern Hung. This book is about a boy named Theo who loves sports, but after having worked so hard to make the football team, he injures himself and finds himself unable to play for a while. Theo feels really sad and useless, but will he find hope in the middle of his suffering? We'll find out soon, but first I'm going to talk about the illustrations. Vern Hung, I do hope I'm saying his name right, has done a really good job in the illustrations of this book. Theo gets a cast on his leg, which he writes words on, which show us how he's feeling. Words like loser, dumb, hopeless, weak, useless, sad, poor, angry, and disappointed. Maybe Theo has been feeling that his self-worth was because he was good at sports. Maybe that's what he was boasting in. But now he's injured and he can't play sports for a little while, so he has nothing to boast in. He's feeling useless. The Bible talks a bit about this. It talks about the difference between boasting in what we can do and boasting in Jesus and what he has done. If we boast in what we can do, we can play sports well, or maybe we can write well, or we can read well, or we can draw well. That's good for a little while, but eventually we're going to realize that it's not enough. That might come through an injury and not being able to do the thing that we felt like we were good at, or it may come through seeing other people who are better than us. And ultimately, it comes through realizing that even if we are the best painter or the best at playing chess or the best at playing sports, we're still sinners, and nothing that we can do can make us good enough for God. The good news of the Bible, though, is that we don't have to boast in what we can do. Even though humans are not perfect, in fact, we're sinners, Jesus came to save sinners. By the end of the story, Theo has learned this, and he puts his trust in Jesus. He crosses out the bad words on his cast and writes good words instead. So what is the main message of the story? Well, in his suffering, Theo remembers the story of Paul. He remembers that Paul had been shipwrecked and put in prison, and that even in the face of this, Paul had learned to be content in Jesus Christ. The book doesn't quote this verse, but the main message of the story is the message of Philippians 11b to 13, which says, I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I find myself. I know how to make do with a little, and I know how to make do with a lot. I have learned the secret of being content, whether well-fed or hungry, whether in abundance or in need. I am able to do all things through him who strengthens me. When I review Christian children's books, I like to look at the biblical, historical, and theological accuracy. I'm going to put more details about how this book does in terms of those three categories of accuracy in the written review, which I'm going to post on the Gospel Voices Project website, gospelvoicesproject.org. But just now, I'd like to talk about one detail that I noticed in terms of theological accuracy that I think we need to talk about. This book says, even though Paul was treated poorly for most of his time, he did not feel sad about it. I think this is mainly a case of something that could have been phrased better. I don't think that it's intentional. Adults might not notice this because we already know enough of Paul's story to fill in the blanks with our own mind, but to a child, this might sound as though Paul is some superhuman, a person who can't or doesn't feel sad when it's appropriate to feel sad. And it may even sound like we're suggesting that they should not feel sad when bad things happen to them. Now, this is not the case, and we know that because Paul spoke openly about his struggles. He spoke about anxiety, and we know that Jesus himself cried over Lazarus' grave. So feeling sad is not a bad thing. But the point that Paul was making when he was speaking about having learned to be content in all situations was that he learned that in his sadness or in his joy, he could turn to Jesus, and he knew that Jesus was strong enough to get him through. I think it's important to talk to kids about human emotion and even talk about how Jesus felt sadness and Jesus felt anxiety. Jesus knows what it is like to be human. He has felt temptation in every way that we have. He has felt what it is to be human in every way that we have. And he is strong enough to carry us through. So is this a major problem? No, not a major one. But I do think it's something that's worth noting, and I think it's something that you can explain to your kids and have a talk to them about as you're reading this book. One thing this book doesn't do is it doesn't present the entire gospel message, but it does encourage readers to trust God, which is an essential part of the gospel message. Overall, we've given this book 4 out of 5 stars. If you'd like to buy your own copy of this book, please click on the link below this video. It is now an affiliate link, which means that the Gospel Voices Project may collect a very small commission from the sale, which will just help us to continue to put out free Christian content for you. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and catch us next Friday or Saturday for our next video.